Director Andy Muschietti let it be known why he thinks the 2023 DCEU movie The Flash flopped. On Radio 2's La Baulera del Coso show, Muschietti said the film didn't appeal to all four quadrants of moviegoers. The quadrants he's speaking of are men over 25, men under 25, women over 25, and women under 25. Muschietti also said anecdotally that in conversation with people, he found they just don't care about the Flash as a character, particularly the two female quadrants. We discussed issues the Flash film experienced at length in 2023. Is Muschietti on the money or off the mark?
You know, we talked about a Sony executive a couple weeks ago making statements about why Kraven the Hunter and Madam Web and all these movies just flopped at the box office, and we walked away from that conversation going, man, this guy's really out of touch, right? Because he is boiling down the failure of these movies, which the list contributing to that is long, to just one thing or whatever. So for Andy Muschietti, instead of focusing on the fact that The Flash was the last gasp of a dying universe, that we confirmed that there was a new DCU before The Flash aired, to the fact that Ezra Miller went on a crime spree and was basically not allowed to go do press tours, to the fact that the movie was just not good and confusing and poorly reviewed, and everything else in between that caused the pain and of at the box office that was The Flash. Instead, for Andy Muschietti, it's that women did it. You know, they're the ones who killed the Flash. and so when I hear this, it's like, okay, again, it's the out of touch nature of like, it's not a mystery why this movie failed. And it's one of those, like, I think people are even okay to give grace to these films, even if they know it's not going to continue in another universe, you know, even that. Like, I think people are willing to give it grace. It had Michael Keaton in it, and he was Batman, and it had Supergirl, by the way, like, speaking of, like, appealing to women, like, it had a strong female character, like, so to come out and just be like, people don't care about the Flash, I think you're way off the mark on that. Like, the CW built a whole universe around the Flash, like, people have been begging for a Flash movie, like, there's been, like, petitions after petitions for Flash movies for pretty much as long as we've been making superhero movies. So, like, people want to see that character in stuff. It's just the way that it was done. It just, you had this, like, this thing happen where we're shutting down the universe and we're bringing in a new universe and it's a new guy and all this type of stuff. And James Gunn is pulled out as the head of DC and all of this. And then, okay, but also come see this movie that's connected to all the other stuff. It's just like, that's not going to vibe with people. Like, people are, and then on top of it, the movie's not good. Like, if people can put it aside and be like, well, Michael Keaton's in it, it's fine, I'll go see it, you know? But it's just, the movie was not good. It made no sense. It was just not one of those movies you go out and tell people to go see. So it's just, it's missing the real issues that the movie had. And to me, it sort of highlights, because I think, at least for me, I mean, maybe disagree, but for me, I was not super excited whenever James Gunn made the announcements of films to come up, and he said, oh yeah, and we're doing a Batman movie directed by Andy Muschietti. And this was like right after The Flash. And I was like, the Flash guy? You know, like, and I think a lot of people did that. Like, I think a lot of people were like, I don't know about that one. Like, I'm cool with everything else, but like, I don't know about that one. And it's kind of, this is just kind of my thing with James Gunn. Like, I love the dude. Like, I love the content that he makes for the most part. But the thing that just he can't get out of his own way on is he just rewards people all the time in actor roles, producer roles, directing roles for being loyal to him. And even if they don't do a great job. So in The Flash, like, Andy Muschietti was Team James, and James Gunn stumped hard for The Flash. Like, he went out, he was tweeting about it, he was posting about it, he was at all the red carpets, he was like, go see this. He was even insinuating, oh man, if this movie does really well, we might think about bringing some of these people over to the new DCU. Like, he was doing all that, right? Like, he was out there really pushing it. And Andy Muschietti didn't say a word about, hey, you're killing all my characters off, and like, I'm making a movie, and you're gonna, like, he didn't say a word. He was super supportive of Gunn and DC. So then, of course, DCEU wraps up. We put a bow on it. Here's a Batman movie. You know, like, that's a huge reward. Here's a Batman movie that you get to direct. And it's just, it's not we've seen this out of Gunn his whole career, and now that he's in this role, in this leadership role, it can bite him. I think like this idea of like bringing people in just because they're your boys or whatever. Like it's not always going to pay off in the best way. And so, it's all that to say, I think the statements were just ridiculous overall. Just, it's, of course, the 4 quadrants in Hollywood, people talk about that all the time. The Flash, that was not its problem. It had a lot of problems that it did not overcome and just made for a train wreck of a movie. But it's just, it's women's fault, I guess. At the end of the day.
Well, and that's
the girls, the ladies killed it.
That problem he's talking about is it's just such a simplified version of what happened that isn't even accurate to what happened. The idea that like girls don't like the Flash, like that's just like, this is so stupid. There's literally a CW show. Grant Gustin has a huge fan base of both genders. Like that's not a thing. It's just the people who were supposed to love your movie the most were not excited about it. So it doesn't spill over to the rest of the culture. The people who are the biggest Flash fans, the people who've been most excited about the Flash are upset that you're not including their Flash in this movie. If they had put Grant Gustin in that movie and said, hey, you'll get a Grant Gustin tease in this movie at least, and put him in the big multiverse scene, that would have gotten a bunch of butts in seats, like Flash fans, and maybe you could have won them over to your DCEU's Flash. But you just you didn't care about Flash fans. You didn't care about comic book fans who follow these movies closely because you ended the universe and told them there was nothing coming forward, so they had all the less reason to care. And then you made kind of a terrible movie that has a lot of problems. I don't think it's the worst. It's not the worst comic movie. It's not the worst movie in the geekdom universe, but there's some terrible moments in it that just feel unearned and weird and terrible CGI. I don't know. It just has its problems. And the baby scene, I don't know.
I hate
just
it so much. I hate
the baby
so
scene
much. Like the whole movie just gets on my nerves so much.
Oh man, I've really blocked that out.
The last multiverse scene is just it's just absolutely awful the way that was executed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that guy's supposed to have Batman now? Like, I don't love it.
What are you doing when probably the funniest thing in your entire movie is just a reference to An Evening with Kevin Smith when he told the story about the giant spider and Superman fighting the giant spider? Like that's like the funniest and kind of most connected to like geek culture moment in that movie. And it's like, you're appealing to Kevin Smith fans that watched An Evening with Kevin Smith 2 in like 2004, like, but you're not appealing to Flash fans. It's terrible marketing on that movie. What do you think, Haley? Is it just the girls?
Hey, I mean,
why
I
did you kill the Flash?
So.
Why did you kill the Flash, Haley?
Answer for all women.
We spent, $40 seeing the Flash in my house.
You're like, we did it, ladies. We killed the Flash. We're coming for Superman next.
That was our whole goal. I mean, don't worry about like your reproductive rights or equitable pay. The Flash, like, fuck that guy.
We got him.
Gotta get female solidarity to kill the Flash.
These executives, or I guess he's not even an executive, they need to temper their comments. That's really my only take on this whole thing. It's crazy.
Very fair.
Yeah, I don't have too much to say either. It's just such a colossally bad take that it almost feels orchestrated to me at this point. It's like, and I start to look at Andy Muschietti's filmography, and he's got 5 films to his name, but it's becoming more and more apparent to me that maybe It Chapter 1 was the exception rather than the rule in terms of his talent as a filmmaker. And that being said, I will not lay all the failings of The Flash at his feet. Jay, you kind of pointed out how he was in James Gunn's camp. So, had he not been, he probably could have pushed back on some things or been a little more combative there, and maybe it would have resulted in a better movie. But yeah, he certainly was not in a desirable position in terms of like how many directors were attached to the Flash. Like, it was announced in 2014. We didn't get the thing until 2003. I think there were no less than 5 directors attached to the thing. Like, So yeah, but all that being said, there's no excuse for just how bad a take this is. Like, no excuse.
Yeah.
Like, people like The Flash, and if you thought people didn't like The Flash, the time to figure that out was way earlier in production.
Yes, that's what that's the part that stood out to me. Him being like, I think the reason people didn't go to the movie that I directed had nothing to do with my creative decisions. It had to do with the fact that they don't like that character.
It's their fault. Yeah, it's the same thing the Sony executive said. It's not me, it's you.
Ugh. Terrible. It's terrible.
Goodness.
You just watched a clip from Multiverse News. If you liked it, go to our channel. We got a whole episode that it comes from. So go check that out and hit the like and subscribe. And we got lots of clips you'll enjoy, but also full hour-long episodes of Multiverse News with lots of things that don't even make it to clips. So check us out.
You stay clippy.